so I won't tell you his name. Might be something like Burgum. He's from North Dakota. He's going to be announced tomorrow for a very big position. He's going to head the Department of Interior, and he's going to be fantastic. We're going to reduce regulation, waste, fraud, and inefficiency, and these two guys are going to find a lot of it. We're going to clean out the corrupt, broken, and failing bureaucracies.
Someone like Burgum? I mean, that's a pretty big hint there. That was President-elect Trump talking last night about his energy plans. Joining me now is Dan Brouillette, former Energy Secretary. So, Dan, who was that other guy, by the way? He actually pointed, he said the other guy. Do you know who the other guy was? That might be his pick for Energy Secretary, for all I know.
Actually, I don't, David. I do not know. But, boy, that was quite a hint, wasn't it? We really appreciate it.
It was indeed. It was indeed. Well, how, you know, the problems with the Energy Department are very similar to the problems with all the other departments in government. They're riddled with fraud, with corruption, with laziness, with doing the wrong thing at the wrong. How do you fix it, particularly in the Energy Department, the corrupt and broken parts of it?
Mm-hmm. Well, you start by picking somebody like Doug Burgum to lead them. Doug's got a great background. Long before he got into politics, he was an incredible business person, ran a large organization there, knows how to manage people, knows how to manage big organizations. Obviously, as governor of North Dakota, did a great job there. So he's the perfect candidate for this. He mixes not only his management expertise and his management skill, but his deep understanding of the energy markets and the energy production needs that are necessary now for this nation to meet the ongoing growth that's going to continue for the next 10, perhaps 20 years.
But how do you manage, forgive me, Dan, I just got to ask, how do you manage the Green New Deal, which, let's face it, is what the Inflation Reduction Act was all about? Even President Biden admitted that. I mean, billions and billions, probably trillions before it's all over if they have their way. How do you manage that instead of getting rid of it? Because it mandates this wasteful spending. A lot of people would say wasteful spending.
Well, David, look, the first thing you do is attack the things that we've just read about in the papers. I mean, I think there was a $27 billion slush fund that was part of the Inflation Reduction Act that was given away to some non-governmental organizations. Those are easy clawbacks that we can work with Congress on to take that money back. But the next thing you do is start to look at where some of these funds, where are these grants and where are these loans distorting the marketplace and actually retarding investment rather than incentivizing investment. And because of Doug's background and his business acumen, I think he'll identify those things really, really quickly. But overall, David, I mean, look, one of the things he has to do, I would suggest to him, is to reestablish the United States as a low-cost, reliable supplier of energy, not only to the American people, but to all of our allies all around the world.
But Dan, so many of these programs that, again, are mandated by the Green New Deal, as I call it, are things that just don't work. The whole mandate is to replace fossil fuels with renewables, and it can't be done. We know that it can't be done. We do know that we're going to need a lot more energy for these data centers, et cetera, and AI, a lot more energy than we're using, and the renewables just aren't living up to their hype.
No, that's right. They don't live up to their hype because they have what's called a 35% capacity factor. So it produces the efficiency rate of a solar or wind turbine is roughly 30%, which means it produces electricity 30% of the time. And that's just not something that's going to suffice for meeting the demand that we're coming not only from the reindustrialization back from the Trump policies when people are moving their facilities back here in the United States. It's also what you just mentioned, data centers and AI. We're told now that we're going to be short roughly 28, maybe 30 gigawatts of electricity without AI.
Yeah.
So, and that's over the next 6 years.
Well,
so we've got to get busy, and we've got to start building electric generation here in the United States.
Well, and wind power ain't going to do it. We just got this incredible information about wind power and what they didn't produce. In 2023, we had more windmills set up than ever before, but a 2.1% drop in energy. More windmills, but less windmill power. How does that work out?
Well, that's what I just talked about. That's what I meant. So, you know, it's not very efficient relative to things like natural gas or nuclear power in particular. These are what are called firm or baseload sources of electricity. And that's really what we need to drive the data centers and to drive the increased manufacturing that we're seeing coming back to the United States. So it's going to take some change in policy. Yeah. It's going to change in direction. We're going to have to get really busy building out our generation here in the United States.
And we also have to stop some of these billion-dollar subsidies. I mean, it's adding up, according to Cato Institute, to over $1 trillion in about 8 years. And some of it is going to Chinese companies. Trina Solar is getting about $1 billion in subsidies, according to Politico.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's the fallacy of some of these subsidies, that what we see is rather than lowering prices, they can have an adverse effect and actually raise prices. Much like tuition in the university system, universities may raise the price to capture the federal funds. And we see some of that in the electric
Dan
world
Brouillette,
as well.
Thank you so much for being here.